እግዚአብሔር የተመሰገነ ይሁን። አሁን ደግሞ እዚህ ጋር ያለነው ቴምፕል ኦፍ ፓን የሚባለው ጣዖት መለክበት የነበረበት ቦታ ነው። ሮማውያኖች ገዙ በነበረበት ጊዜ ይህ አካባቢ እንግዲህ እንደምንመለከተው በጣም ብዙ የጣዖት ሳክሪፋይስ ይደረግበት የነበረ ጣዖታት ይመለኩበት የነበረ ቦታ ነው። በዚህ ስፍራ እንግዲህ ጌታ ኢየሱስ ክርስቶስ ደቀ መዛሙርቱን ይዞ መጥቶ ምን እንዳደረገና ምን እንደተናገረ እዚህ ስፍራ ላይ እንማራለን። እግዚአብሔር የተመሰገነ ይሁን። እዚህ ስፍራ ላይ የሆነውን የተደረገውን ነገር እንወያይበታለን። ከመጽሐፍ ቅዱስ አኳያ ያለውን ነገር እናያለን።
Ritual sacrifices were cast in the natural abyss here, reaching the underground waters at the back of the cave. If the victims disappeared in the water, this was a sign that the god had accepted the offering. If, however, signs of blood appeared in the nearby springs, the sacrifice had been rejected. So all this messed up pagan worship happening right here. It says English.
To listen to the explanation, please insert 5 shekels.
We already got the explanation.
Who's got a 5 shekel coin? I think I might have one. Oh, I got everything, just about everything except 5 shekels. All right, Cindy, well, you 5 shekels. I don't think we've heard that before.
שלום וברוכים הבאים לשמורת נחל חרמון, הידוע גם בשמו הבניאס. אתם נמצאים בפתחה של המערה של פן. בימי קדם הייתה המערה סגורה.
Shalom and welcome to the Hermon Stream Nature Reserve, also known as the Banyas. You are standing in front of Pan's cave. In ancient times, the cave was closed and dark. Only during an earthquake in 1759 was the entrance to the cave destroyed and the inside of the cave exposed. The cave carries the name of the god Pan, who, according to Greek mythology, was the god of the messengers between the dead and the living. His body was that of a combination between a man and a male goat. Although Pan himself was infertile, he was known as quite lustful and used to chase after the nymphs. Their fear of him that led them fleeing in terror became the source of the term panic. The famous shepherd's flute, known as Pan's flute, also carries the name of this god. The Pan rituals that began in Greece were brought here together with much of the Greek culture during the Hellenistic period, around the year 260 BCE. This site was found suitable to embrace Pan's rituals. It has plenty of water, vegetation, the cave, and it has a former history of other paganistic rituals. All these reasons led to establishing a temple to Pan. This gave the name to the site Panias, which was later changed by the Arab pronunciation to Banyas. Evidence of Pan's rituals was found in Greece, and we can assume that the rituals in Banyas were similar. Mainly women led the rituals during the afternoon hours, leading noisy parades to the temple. There they joined in a festive atmosphere of singing, telling jokes, laughter, and mainly making a lot of noise. In the evening, the men would join them, and dancing, eating, and wine drinking were added to the celebrations. The men usually would get drunk and fall asleep, whereas the women continued their noisy festivities until the morning. The rituals also included sacrifices to God that were thrown into a natural crack in the floor at the back of the cave. The crack led to an underground water source, and if the sacrifices disappeared, it was a sign that they were accepted by the gods. On the other hand, if signs of blood were found in the nearby springs, it was a sign that the sacrifice was rejected. The element of blood in the springs of Banyas is also mentioned in the Jewish Talmud, in a quote related to Rabbi Yossi Bar Kisma. In the year 20 BCE, the Romans who ruled the region added the Banyas in the Hula Valley to the kingdom of Herod the Great. As a sign of gratitude, Herod established here a temple dedicated to the Roman Caesar Augustus. On the other side of the entrance to the cave, an internal wall of the temple can be seen. It was the first man-made building in Banyas and was erected even before the city existed. From the temple, there was a passage to the cave that served as the sanctuary, considered the holiest part of the site. In the niche, close to the cave, stood most probably a sculpture of the Caesar. Through the years, the site was developed, and ultimately 5 temples and several ritual courtyards were added. You will be able to see them along your tour at the site. After Herod's death, his son Philippus inherited the northern part of the country, including the Golan Heights, and turned Banyas into his capital city. As an expression of his pride of the city, he changed the name of Banyas to Caesarea Philippi. In the New Testament, in the Gospel of Matthew, the territory of Caesarea Philippi is mentioned as the place where Jesus met his followers. On this site, Peter the Apostle recognized Jesus as the Messiah and the Son of God. The description reads, "And Peter answered, 'You are the Christ, the Son of the living God.' Jesus then blessed Simon, saying, 'You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it.'" The Christian believers are split if this recognition of Peter actually took place here at the gate of the cave or elsewhere in the region of Banyas. Nonetheless, the site remains important among those of Christian belief. During the Byzantine period, in the 5th and 6th centuries, the paganistic ritual to Pan gradually came to an end, and the temples were abandoned. The main marble sculptures left on site were shattered and buried during the early Muslim period. Some of them were found during archaeological excavations that were led here over the years. We thank you for your attention and wish you an enjoyable and enlightening visit to this unique site.
Tell you, Lord, I love you more than anything.
Yes, Lord.
I love you, Jesus. I worship and adore you. Just want to tell you, Lord, I love you.
Yes, Lord.
More than anything.
Yes, Lord.
As we look at this passage, we're going to look at a passage